Well, moving on to the Portland Trailblazers, as I believe most people have seen at this point in the day, it's not going to be new news to hear that the local television ratings are in and they are not good.
No.
In fact, so bad that they are at the very bottom of the league. The Blazers ranked dead last in ratings year over year, have seen their ratings dip 49%. I think that everyone in the Portland metro area probably knows this by now, but my question to you, Suke, is big deal or not so much? We know this team's in a rebuild, and we knew that they were not going to be as competitive. We also know that they changed networks, and so that obviously has an impact here, but 49% is still a very jarring number.
Yeah. I mean, you got a 50% drop in viewership. Oh, my God. And two things. One, obviously, you lose the best player in franchise history. Mm-hmm. This team is warmed over garbage. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. The only time I watch, and I do watch, one, this is our job.
Yep.
But I think you and I both watch for the same reason. I watch because I have an over
a little investment.
Yeah, a little investment on it. And I've been to a couple games this year, and I think I've been to maybe 4 games, and I'll say that the crowd it's not terrible.
And to that point, in this article that I saw, specifically about the Blazers ratings, their attendance is still great. They're still 13th in the league in attendance. They've only dipped 1.9% this year in attendance.
Only 1%.
Yeah.
Because the games that I've been to, like I've seen the Cavaliers, the Nets. I haven't seen like a great team come into town, but I've been to a couple games, and it's not full, but it's not barren. It's not an absolute wasteland, although the one I went to during the ice storm thing.
I bet that was.
That was rough. There were like 9 people there.
Even the players couldn't get there.
Yeah, that was bad.
Ayton couldn't make it.
That was a little,
I offered to drive him.
Yeah,
he turned me down.
Klondike Will to the rescue.
That was a little rough. But if you're the Blazers, that has to be beyond alarming. So the other factor is, besides the fact that you're not very good, you knew you weren't going to be very good, you have arguably one of the worst TV deals known to man.
Yeah.
You're on Root Sports, which can't be streamed unless you have cable.
Right.
How many people? I'm a cable guy, by the way. I'm thinking about going back because I just the streaming stuff drives me crazy. But like I was like one of the last holdouts, and even I was like, all right, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm gonna give it a year and see what happens when I cut. So all these people are cutting the cord.
I'm on YouTube TV. I can't get Blazers. I watch Blazers highlights on Twitter afterwards.
Right. You can't you can't get the NBA package,
right?
Because they're blocked out. I'll tell you a little secret. I watch the Blazers on an illegal stream. It's the only way I can watch it.
We've gotten some reports from others that that has been a big contributor, that basically because of the fact that you would either have to change back to cable or I believe pay up a tier on cable because of where Root is on the premium tier or the next step up.
Can't even just have the normal or I think even mid-level. You have to basically have like the sports package.
And so I think it's like a perfect storm of crap for them where it's in addition to the barrier of entry being higher, it's also happening at a time when the team is bad. And so, like this person here on the Vancouver 4 text line says, I can't watch them, and I'm not going to seek out Comcast just for the rebuild. And I think a lot of people are in that spot. People who have cut the cord, who used to have access to them and don't. They're like, well, I might go back to the Blazers, but not right now.
Yeah, you have a crappy product. You're bad. You've been bad for 3 years. You signaled that you were bad. You burned a lot of people by getting rid of the whole Lillard thing, and all the drama that went behind that. You sold us one bill of goods, with the whole Scoot Henderson. Oh, he's not going to miss a beat. Like, you didn't even say you were in a rebuild. No, you even lied about being in a rebuild.
You even said that Dame and Scoot could play together.
Yeah, you have the whole ownership thing hanging over people's head, which I know pisses people off. And by the way, that's not changing anytime soon. Jody's not selling this team, like, for the foreseeable future.
She shouldn't. She should hold on to him for as long as she can.
It's going to be money. Exactly. We found out the other day she makes like $150 million a year managing this trust, and every day that goes by and these go up, she gets a percentage of the sales. So buckle up. Jody ain't going anywhere.
Yep.
Jody's going to be here for a while, and so you have that pisses people off, and then you have arguably the most asinine TV deal that no one can see.
Well, people even pointing out here that they often get bumped to Route 2 for the Kraken, and so there even makes it even harder to find.
So
that's tough on fans to have your team take a significant step down and then also make their product harder to find even if you wanted to.
But it is It is rough. It is. I mean, if you're the Blazers, you have to look at that and think, my God. And I know Danny was tweeting about this today, and they were talking about it. I mean, they got 2 more years of this root deal. They better figure out something real fast. I mean, no one can look at a 50% dip in viewership and think that in any shape or form that's going to be positive. He talked about maybe the Blazers buying back some of the games. He said a lot of these deals that he's aware of have the ability for teams to buy back some of that inventory and then either put it on, KGW, put it on over-the-air TV where you can get it, or like streaming. Like they can make it available to stream for people directly. Like you can go to blazers.com and stream the game and cast it to your TV or whatever. But you got 2 more years of this, and if you're Portland, you better be damn careful that you aren't. I mean, this is now 3 years of garbage ass teams in the lottery, and you do this for another year or two, and you have a 50% drop, and then next year, let's say you add another 10 to 15% on top of that. You can be doing permanent damage, and I promise you the Blazers are aware of this, and it would be shocking if next year, if you didn't see a hunk, I'm going to say 10 to 15 games that are more access, and you better believe at the end of the 2 years, if they have any sort of intelligence from, the old Comcast deal, which screwed people over, to now the root deal, which screwed even more people over, that 2 years from now, they better wise up and make this available to as many people as possible for as cheap as humanly possible, because you are doing permanent damage to your viewers.
And I do think that the Blazers are in a unique position to potentially recover from this, like you said, and pull themselves out and maybe redistribute a little bit. They're one of only, I believe, 3 teams in the league that actually produce their own pre- and post-game shows, and then they sell it to the network. When I worked down in the Bay Area for NBC Sports, Bay Area in California, it was our company that had the trucks that was producing the live events, the games. The Blazers do that themselves, and then they give it to Root. So, they get to decide how that product goes, and that might give them a little bit more leeway about, or at least a little bit more control about where they go and how they make it accessible, because this can't be something that can keep up for them.
No, and Vancouver Ford text line, and this is true. The attendance may not have dipped that much, but the ticket value has 100%. I got a buddy of mine that's got second or third row, and I post him for him sometimes. Like he's like, hey man, and I'll go on my Twitter and I'll just be like, hey, he's got 4 seats. It's like second row behind the Blazers bench, like where the families, like where Lillard's family used to sit. And dude, I have posted those tickets for him 15 times this year. He usually ends up asking about 115 for each one of those seats. I bet you he sells them half the time. Like, I mean, you're giving, like, he is eating money on these things left and right. But he's like, I'm not going, and he's busy. He's like, he used to kind of give them out to be. You can't give them away. Like I've posted before, like where, someone comes to town, I'm like $100 a seat, and people are like, you couldn't pay me $40 to go to that game. So yeah, the attendance may be there. They are so cheap right now. They are so cheap across the board. They're giving tickets away. And so that's the other thing. Yeah, you may be getting people to go into that building, but they ain't paying, and they certainly ain't paying a premium.
They're not paying what they were last year, that's for damn sure.
Nope. And when you get people, when you get a 50% drop in viewership, and this is where you got to be careful with any sort of rebuild. It's one thing to rebuild, and it's another thing to rebuild and become irrelevant. Because when you start rebuilding year after year, this is essentially year 3. Don't make no mistake. The last 2 years they have tanked with injuries, and they have pulled the chute on things. And now this is year 3. You go into next year and you're still a garbage ass team that wins 20 games. And now you're 4 years into that and no one can see your product. You become very, very much in the danger becoming irrelevant. The one thing that Portland has going for them is it's a bit of a one-horse town. Yeah, we got the Timbers and the Thorns, but can you imagine?
But if you start taking that for granted, you're in trouble, because it's also, I feel like it's also a town that expects you to care. Like they're not just, people are going to keep coming back because the Blazers are the only game and they've loved them forever. But you also, when you turn somebody away after a really long time, it's hard to get them back.
Yeah. Someone said, I've been offered, this is from Dave, Vancouver Ford text line, I've been offered free tickets / parking and turned them down numerous times this season. I found another one. I found tickets on StubHub for the Blazers game against the Timberwolves for $2 each.
Yep. I found them for $4.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the Timberwolves. And that was what I said. My buddy, we tried to put up those seats for the Timberwolves. I think it was like $115, $120. That's the team with the best record in the West. Courtside seats. Couldn't sell them for $100. back in the day, if you go back to Lillard, let's go back 6 years ago, those seats are, if you're trying to buy them on the secondary market, you're $800, $600, $700, $800, depending on who's coming to town. Lakers come to town, you might be paying $1,000. Mm-hmm. They're $100. And so this is the danger of rebuild, and it's the danger of losing a community. You imagine if we had Major League Baseball, if we had hockey, if we had something else that was directly
kind of do have hockey.
Yeah,
not to that degree though.
No, but here, let me put it in this kind of perspective. I don't have a lot of money. And so when my buddies and I try and figure out something to do on the weekend, it's usually something that's cheap, right?
Sure.
It has now become an idea and something that we've done where it's, hey, let's go to the Blazer game because that's the cheapest ticket we can get.
Yeah.
Where 2 years ago, I couldn't get a Blazers ticket. I had to beg family members like, hey, can I please tag along? Like, I'll pay for parking or I'll buy the food or I'll do this.
Yeah, I remember a couple of years ago, I wanted to go when the Warriors were in town, and even like 300 level was like, I'm like, I can't do it.
You couldn't afford it. It didn't make sense. And now it's like, I can go on any secondary market and find a ticket, and then I'll buy that ticket and I'll move up at some point because while yes, the sales are only down 1%. There's still a lot of empty seats, and no one's going to stop me and my friends from moving as long as we're not the worst fans there. So that's something to pay attention to with this as well.